When you hear the phrase mob wife aesthetic, what comes to mind? Big hair, gold jewelry, animal prints, glossy lips, a look that's unapologetically loud. But the mob wife aesthetic isn't just TikTok trend or a reaction to minimalism. It's rooted in history, media, gender politics, and symbolism. Today, we're going to unpack where the mob wife aesthetic comes from, how it evolved, and what it actually represents, beyond the fur coats and eyeliner. Hi everyone, Psy-Fi here again. Currently I've been kind of busy with this fun thing with it's extremely complicated, well not really complicated, but fun thing to navigate. Just been busy with college applications, and thank y'all for just waiting, and I am so glad to have them all done. I am ready to just wait for the colleges to respond to me, and we'll see how it goes. But anyways, I'm back with another video. I've been having this one sitting around for a while, and I finally got to finish it, and it's something that's really interested me, so I hope it interests you. Also, if y'all didn't know this, I did change my character how it looks. I like this character design way better. Also, I changed the glasses color because my new glasses are more of this shade. They aren't black anymore. So, I didn't want to talk too long about this, but I hope y'all like the rebrand too. And finally, after all those announcements, let's finally get into the video. So when anyone looks at the mob wife aesthetic from like the surface, it can be easily defined by voluminous hair, heavy makeup, very gold, a lot of gold jewelry, leather, fur, animal print, and long nails and bold silhouettes. It's kind of like the opposite. It's like the complete opposite of the clean girl, and as a personal hater of the clean girl aesthetic, I find this aesthetic, the mob wife aesthetic, very nice to see, like looks-wise. And instead of like the quiet luxury of the clean girl, the mob wife aesthetic is it focuses on boldness and visibility. But it isn't random. It's very connected to the crime figures of Italian Mafia back in the 1900s, and that's where we're actually going to start the video, is back in New York City and Italy in the 1900s. The mob wife aesthetic has a real historical roots in Italian-American communities specifically. When Italian immigrants came over to the Americas, usually New York and New Jersey, that was where Mafia started to form, and the mob wives often lived in a paradox. They were surrounded by wealth, but they lacked legal power. They were expected to be loyal and silent, despite their very bold appearance, and they knew more than they were allowed to say. Fashion became more of an armor and status for them. Gold jewelry wasn't subtle. It was a public declaration: we have money and we're not hiding it. Big hair and makeup weren't vanity. They were visibility in a world where invisibility meant vulnerability. Looking powerful was a form of protection for them. One might think that the Mafia doesn't exist today, but the Mafia still has a very strong presence still in New York City and New Jersey, and that is a topic I am going to bring up later, but just keep in mind that they're still existing out today. Next, we're going to go into the more media influence and pop culture part of the mob wife aesthetic, and a lot of the stuff we recognize today from the mob wife aesthetic actually comes from film and television. Movies like Goodfellas and Casino, and later shows like The Sopranos, shaped the visual aspect of the mob wife. Characters like Karen Hill or Carmela Soprano weren't just partners to criminals. They were emotionally complex women navigating fear, desire, denial, and control. And their fashion also reflected that tension. Glamour mixed with anxiety, femininity mixed with aggression, and luxury mixed with danger. These women dressed extravagantly because the understatement didn't fit their reality. Their lives were unstable. As a mob wife, you are moving constantly, you are under the fear of the police and the legal government, so their appearance had to feel solid, intentional, and commanding to in order to be in charge, or at least seen in charge of everything that was going on around them. Before we start getting into like the symbolism aspects of the mob wife aesthetic, there's a video I found on the internet. I've shown a couple of her videos before, and I feel like it sums up the mob wife aesthetic appearance really well. So I'm going to play that right now, and then we're going to go to the symbolism of a lot of the key elements presented in the mob wife aesthetic.
achieve the mob wife aesthetic. While the aesthetic sounds new, the style has been around since there have been wealthy men with wealthy wives. Before it was a hashtag, it was a lifestyle. Mob wife is when you take quiet luxury, drop the quiet, and add all caps and exclamation points. It also helps if you have a scary looking boyfriend who works in waste management. And where do we get the clothes? We know mob wives love animal print fur and all things sparkly. Who else loves prints, furs, and shiny things? Betsy Johnson. We also know that mob wives love cocktail dresses, gold jewelry, and tight pants. And who else loves a party dress, gold accessories, and airtight pants? Yep. And how do we look like laundered money? All these pieces together can look tacky, but mob wives have taste. They're not shopping at the Jersey Shore boardwalk, they're buying designer. We're gonna wanna wear black leather mini dress, black tights, a gold belt, gold necklaces, retro sunnies, a stiletto, some fur, a classic nail, and a designer bag. Italian Americans do not fear being called over the top. This aesthetic values glamour and fun over the opinions of the haters. And this is Italian cultural appropriation. When my dad was struck by lightning, my Italian grandmother literally threw pizza onto the ceiling. That's how Italian we are. So as an Italian American woman from New York, as long as you don't hurt any animals or Italians while wearing your faux fur, you'll be fine. It's not a crime to wear rhinestones and cosplay as a wealthy woman. What aesthetic should we cover next?
I think that video pretty much explained all of it, but let's go into the more key elements of the mob wife aesthetic. So first of all, gold jewelry. In gold jewelry, gold represents wealth. Yes, but also permanence. It's really hard for gold to rest, especially the very fancy designer gold jewelry, which is what the mob wives were buying, and it lasts. It signals legacy and loyalty, two core values in the mob culture. Next would be probably voluminous or like really big hair, which we see in Karen Hill a lot, and volume is usually about dominance. The higher and bigger the hair, the more space you take up. It's a visual refusal to shrink. They're basically saying, I am here and you better listen to me. Moving on to more of the clothing, fur and leather, and especially animal print were huge things, and that's basically a staple of the mob wife aesthetic. Animal prints symbolize instinct, survival, and danger. They reflect a world where women had to be alert, resilient, and protective, often without formal power. Also, fur and leather, these materials symbolize power and intimidation. They blur the line between luxury and threat, mirroring the environment these women lived in. Finally, something that I feel is the funnest part of the mob wife aesthetic is the heavy makeup. This really is about softness or natural beauty, like the clean girl aesthetic, as priorly mentioned. The clean girl aesthetic was very natural, very, clean and very simple, while the heavy makeup has a more message of control about it. Makeup becomes a mask, something carefully constructed to show strength, even when vulnerability exists underneath. Remember, the mob wives were people who had to have a constant appearance of control at all times, so this helped them achieve their mission in this. Now, I know a lot of y'all are wondering, where's the scary part? Where's, the psychological part where, it's actually really creepy or, it has a hidden meaning behind it? And honestly, I looked for a while and I really couldn't find any, big secret meaning or, hidden reveal until I stumbled upon this person's video.
Let's hear what a real mob wife has to say about this trend.
I am a former mob wife. Little white girl saying clean girl is out, mob wife aesthetic is in, crack me up, because let me tell you what that sounds like and looks like if you are not the ethnicity that belongs in The Sopranos, because I was that. My ex-husband was represented by the son of the lawyer who represented Jimmy Hoffa.
Oh yeah? Well, my ex was represented by the son of a friend's brother, of a friend who has a friend who I knew, who ate so many beans that he had the loudest fart on record, and was even introduced in the Ripley's Believe It or Not museum. Beat that.
It looks like spending Saturday night with your nose to the carpet while the DEA raids your house. And you have no idea why, because he just owns a landscaping company, as you watch them take bricks and bricks of hundreds out of your basement. The hundreds that you're usually throwing one by one into slot machines downtown.
I love the internet because everybody just overshares. Do I need to know this about you? Absolutely not. But do I want to? Yes. Tell me your trauma. Tell me how the cops raided your house. Tell me how you drove stolen cars. Tell me your credit card information.
Thank you to Doxy Carter for bringing that up, and I just want to say that she's really right in a lot of the points she brings up. First of all, it's really iffy to be sharing your life as a mob wife on the internet, even if you're a retired one. And I feel that she's right about however the former mob wife is right about the fact that a lot of people are romanticizing this life of a mob wife to the point where it's ridiculing it, like cosplaying as her culture, which I can side on. That is not a good thing, because a lot of girls just really just think that the mob wife is just glitz and glamour and money and a rich, handsome husband, when really you're on the run, it's a terrible and dangerous thing. We all know the mafia still exists, and the fact that a lot of women are romanticizing it is not a good thing. And don't get me wrong, I love this aesthetic. I love dressing up in fur coats and overdressing and all black. It is definitely much my thing, but it gets to a point where you romanticize it to the point where it gets really dangerous for someone to think about. I shouldn't have to be going on YouTube and Instagram and finding dozens of videos of girls saying, oh my gosh, look at how I want my mafia wedding to be. Look at how I want to marry a really big, bad mob husband and guy and whatever. That is something we have to realize that is unhealthy. Yes, you can decorate yourself and have fun with all the furs and the leather and the glitz and the glam, but realize that it's a really scary reality to be a mob wife, and you have to realize that it is not healthy to want that. It's like romanticizing a bad stereotype where girls fall in love with serial killers. It is just generally not a good and healthy thing to do. Like other aesthetics I've mentioned before, like coquette, kidcore, or really any of the other ones, they're all great aesthetics, and they're really fun to dress up as and to have as your own personal style. But when you actually look deeper and find the hidden meaning, it's better to not associate yourself with that. You shouldn't want to become an actual mob wife. You shouldn't want to be in an underage, age gap relationship like coquette. And you shouldn't want to separate yourself from reality in a harmful way like weirdcore can do if you go too far in it. And that should apply with this one too, the mob wife aesthetic. And I just feel like that if you want to dress up as a mob wife, you are free to. It is your own body and is your own free will, and you should do that. But just be careful that you should not want this dangerous life. You just want to have fun and display your own personal style. That's gonna be pretty much all for the video. Thank y'all for sticking with me. Thank you for listening to why I was gone. Thank you for listening to my little rebrand. I had a little fun designing my new character and giving her a little glow up. And thank y'all for just listening with me about this really cool aesthetic. I really love it, and I think it's really interesting. And if you also like it, just go put on your fur coat and leather jackets. Go have a fun time, and thank y'all for watching.